Hi, church, and thank you for taking our next step on the Discipleship Pathway. In that first step, hopefully, you just talked about the very basics of who Jesus Christ is, the importance, the need for all of us for salvation. Now that you've had kind of that foundational level, the next step that we wanted to talk about then was, what is discipleship? If we're going to go down the discipleship pathway, it would be good for all of us to have a common definition of what discipleship even is. So that's what we're going to spend this next section on. So there's again going to be 4 different lessons to go through. Ideally, you're meeting once a week or approximately once a week, and you'll get through these very quickly. Great session. I think you're going to really enjoy this. In the first 3 lessons of this 4-lesson series, it is going to come from this book called Multiply by Francis Chan. Now, some of you might already have this book. If you don't already have this book, you can of course go out and purchase the book. The other option is that it is also available for free as a PDF on their website. So I'll provide all of those links to you so that you can just use those if you'd like. So you can do any of those that work for you, but it's all the same thing. So you can either purchase the book or go onto the website and just look at the free PDF download of this book. But all that we're going to do is, instead of going through the whole book, we're just going to talk about the first 3 chapters that are in this book. So the first 3 chapters, first of all, are number 1, what is a disciple? Number 2, the command to make disciples. And number 3, the heart of a disciple maker. So again, this is a Francis Chan book. I think you're going to get a great deal out of these first 3 chapters. Also, you'll notice that on their website, there's also about a 6-minute video where Francis Chan sits down and walks through just some of the things that they're talking about in each of these chapters. But during each chapter, each of these lessons, each chapter, there will be about 6 or so questions that will be brought up as you read through the material. So you can use those questions as your discussion questions as you meet each week with your discipleship group. So read through those questions, read through the material, read through those questions, answer those questions together as a group each week as you discuss it. So those are the first 3 chapters. Those are the first 3 lessons in this 4-lesson series. So what's the 4th lesson, you might ask? The 4th lesson in this series, then, after you've gone through the first 3 chapters here, is a link to a website, a resource that you'll find on a website from Jim Putman, and it's titled The 5 Stages of Spiritual Maturity. The 5 Stages of Spiritual Maturity. The thing that I really like about what Putnam does in his work, and this comes from his book, Real Life Discipleship, but there's about a 10-page document, PDF document, that's available for free that you'll just download, and you'll read through that. And what that does is, it identifies, and I think he just does a really nice job of capturing the 5 different stages of spiritual maturity, the 5 different stages that you might be in. And as you go through as a disciple, the pathway intends on moving down this path. You want to grow in the stage that you're at. And so this last resource is a great resource to just walk through, read through it, see the different characteristics of the 5 different stages of spiritual maturity. So identify. I think it's a great assessment tool that you can use to just self-identify. Where do I think that I am in these 5 stages? You might have been in church for many, many years and yet still find yourself maybe as a spiritual infant or just getting started on the pathway. Or likewise, it could be the other end of the spectrum. Maybe just because you've been only a believer for just a few years doesn't mean that you can't be far along on your spiritual journey. So again, it's less about the number of years that you've been a believer or been going to church. It's more about the characteristics of what you're demonstrating in your everyday life. So again, that last resource, the last 4th lesson in our series is to just look at the different stages of discipleship, I'd self-identify where you're at, and understand the types of questions, and look at what the next steps look like. What's the next step up in that discipleship pathway, in your step of spiritual maturity? Because again, the goal through all of this is that we're all progressing, that we're all growing more Christ-like. And so again, I think it'll be a great tool for you to use, and that'll be the 4th lesson that you'll use in this series. And then we'll be off to the next series. So again, thank you so much for being part of the Discipleship Pathway. If you have any questions at all, always feel free to ask. God bless you.